The truth of the matter is, America, that behind this microphone, on the Blaze digital platform, and my Fox show, we've led the effort now to push back against the rogue judiciary. We don't have judges anymore. We have judicial oligarchs. Now, understand how this works. They have their own courtroom, but they have their own office. And they have a conference room, and they tend to have some law books, like they look like they're actually using them. At the district court level, depending on the judge, they have 2 or 3 clerks. So there's a lawyer with 2 or 3 recent law graduates sitting together and apparently deciding how to run the country. I can tell you, and as you listen to this program over the years, you know, this is not America's constitutional republic. These judges with their own little fiefdoms, they meet in the conference room, sit with their clerks, decide what they want to do as the ends justify the means. They don't even respect the fact that they're federal district judges in a federal district, which is where their rulings are supposed to be effective. So they sit there with their 2 or 3 law clerks. Sometimes the judge will sit there alone, and he or she will decide, no, the President of the United States cannot and will not do this. No. And I'm going to issue a ruling that extends far beyond the courthouse, far beyond the jurisdiction I'm in, for the entire country. But wait a minute, you're in San Francisco. Wait a minute, you're in Seattle. Wait a minute. You're in New York. You're in Providence, Rhode Island. You're in Boston. You're in Washington, D.C. That's right. That's right. Well, where's your authority? They have no authority. They have no authority whatsoever to do what they're doing. Nothing Donald Trump has done since the election has gone without judicial review, and in most of those cases, judicial obstruction and interference. Martha McCallum on Fox, she's a real journalist. A very lovely person, by the way. She has integrity. She tries to do the right thing, and she does. She invited us, that is me, on the program. She invited me last week. I couldn't do it. She invited us again today, so I did it. So I want to play the next 6 minutes for you on Martha's show. I've gotten endless texts and emails from most of the people you would know who appreciated it. I don't believe I've ever done this before. If I have, it's rare. So take a listen. Up the volume, sit back. Here we go. Cut 15, go.
This, I want to put up here the Landmark Legal Foundation, which you were arguing on behalf of and you're part of, versus EPA decision back in 2003, which essentially says that this kind of directive, injunction from a judge must be recorded in writing, not just a verbal decision by the judge. Explain how this impacts what's going on with Boasberg and these flights to El Salvador.
Let me try and help this renowned radical left-wing judge. This is called Judging 101. If you want people to do something, they need to understand what you want them to do. Martha, there's a lot of people in between that courtroom and that flight. President of the United States isn't in the courtroom. The Attorney General is not in the courtroom. The Secretary of DHS isn't in the courtroom. Literally hundreds and hundreds of people are affected by this judge's order. He knows this. He's a judge in the District of Columbia where the bureaucracy thrives. So when you're a judge, Judge 101, you don't just sit at the bench and say, you know, you ought to stop doing this and stop doing that. It doesn't necessarily get to everybody, certainly not in a timely way. He figured it out. It was a little late. It's only been the custom, practice, and tradition in that courtroom for at least 23 years when I litigated this case, which is put your damn order in writing, Judge, so the people you're bullying around or ordering around know exactly what you're doing. It's called giving them notice. That's what it called. So let me help the appellate judges, some of whom were equally renowned for being left-wing, which is this. This is separation of powers. The fact that petitioners are radical leftists, Democrats, attorneys general in blue states, union bosses, and worse, who are bringing these cases in these cities where they know these judges from Biden, Obama, and Clinton exist. This whole thing is becoming a sham. The American people are losing faith in the judiciary. We can't have a judicial oligarchy of unelected judges at the trial court level who aren't even in the Constitution, telling the president what to do on human resources, on the border, on deporting criminal illegal aliens. I mean, wait until we get to non-criminal illegal aliens. Can't tell him he can't look at payroll. He can't look at data. What is it that the president can do? Martha, these are ministerial tasks. These are normal tasks for a president of the United States. Notice it only goes one way. Biden violates immigration laws. The border's wide open. Criminal aliens are coming in. Terrorists are coming in. Fentanyl coming in. And the judges sit on their hands. And I can go over and over. This is the greatest assault, listen to me, on the Constitution, separation of powers, Article 2, the power of the presidency, in modern American history.
So
and these judges, well, they may not talk to each other, they see what each other are doing.
So there's 600 and some judges at this level. You know, in terms of the Supreme Court, if it's as egregious as you say, what would you expect to hear from them? We know yesterday Justice Roberts weighed in really on behalf of the judges' right to say this, and the process is going to play out. There's a hearing on March 21st. What do you think the Supreme Court should do, if anything?
I would say that John Roberts, who I knew before he was a judge, when we both worked in the Reagan administration, it's time to grow up here, Judge. Think about Justice Rehnquist. What would Justice Rehnquist, the Chief Justice, have done when those four originalists 2 weeks ago, when this case involving another rogue Democrat judge, ordered the President of the United States to spend money on foreign activities? What would Rehnquist have done? Would he have joined the four, or would he have joined the radical three? This is an issue of separation of powers, and if it's not resolved, you basically, in the form of your question, have answered it. How the hell are we going to have 680 individual, unelected federal judges? They're federal district judges, not federal national judges, all sitting there behind their desks with their 2 or 3 clerks saying, you know, I don't like this idea of Trump sending this. I don't like this idea of banning transgender. I don't like this idea. This is exactly what Locke and Montesquieu and Jefferson and Madison warned. When you have a combination of branches rather than separation of branches, and Scalia did too, you have a tyranny. And I don't care about what John Roberts pronounces from the bench. Do your job, Chief Justice of the United States. Don't get into the political fight. Fix it. Because if you don't fix it, we're going to lose our constitutional construct, or Congress is going to have to figure out some way to fix it. And one other thing. The idea, and I've even heard it on my beloved network from some of these former whatevers, that we shouldn't raise our voice. That's our job. This government exists for we the people. It doesn't exist for John Roberts, the judges, Congress, or anybody else. This whole thing was set up for us, to protect us. When these judges are conducting themselves this way, when they're interfering with an election, when they're grabbing, seizing power in front of our eyes, we're all smart. We see it from the executive branch, a president of the United States. He's elected nationally. They're created by Congress. They're not even in the Constitution. They're using a power, judicial review, that's not even in the Constitution, that was created by the Supreme Court in 1803. They should at least have some level of deference to the President of the United States. And notice one other thing. Compare the number of restraining orders, injunctions, and reversals that Donald Trump has had with the last 10 presidents of the United States.
We just had those up on the board, Mark.
It is grotesque.